Hey, this is Jeff again. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. This is another video in my series Discovering Kelowna. So I've set myself a personal challenge of seeing all 203 Kelowna city parks in 1 year. I started last summer and I'm about halfway through. Here we are in the winter. This week we are once again in Rutland. And today I'm going to go walk around and see some of the parks in northwest Rutland. So we're north of the urban center of Rutland where the shops are along Highway 33. And we're up in a part of that's mostly suburban, as is much of Rutland. A lot of it was seems to have been built in the 80s, maybe the late 70s. And it was just like the rest of Rutland. So looking forward to seeing what we have to see. Probably some neighborhood parks. I think we're going to see some recreation parks, and it's going to be a beautiful walk because it's a beautiful day. And I hope you come along and see what I can show you. Thanks. So here I am at my first park of the day. This is the Rutland Recreation Park, which just like the Mission Recreation Park and Parkinson Recreation Park is a huge and wonderful and varied facility for the people of Rutland to get their sports action going. There's a lot of different parts to this park. It feels like several parks in one. Behind me you can see the Rutland Dog Park, a wonderful huge open space to let your dog run free of its leash. Tucked in behind that is the Hartman Community Garden. So not looking like much right now, of course, but I'm sure it'll be hopping in the springtime. The whole east side of the park has got 4 soccer fields and 2 baseball fields. And on the west side of the park are a number of buildings catering to various recreational needs. You got the YMCA, which has a pool. We've got the gymnastics club, has a boys and girls club. The Rutland Arena is in this park. There's also an activity center and a district safety center, and the whole thing sits between the Rutland High School, Middle School, and elementary school. So it's an amazing center of communal life for the people of Rutland. So I'm really happy I came to see it. It's a big and wonderful park, and I'm looking forward to see what I have to see next. Hey, so here I am in my next park of the day. This is Sommack Park. So this is a neighborhood park. We are now north of the Rutland Recreation Center, and interestingly to me, the neighborhood I just walked through has houses built in the 90s, and you know, it's noticeably newer than the neighborhoods in southern Rutland. So this is the joy of going out and discovering these parks. I'm learning about the neighborhoods of Kelowna, you know, and I had always assumed that Rutland, being vaguely circular in shape with a commercial core at the center, was kind of developed all around the same time, or at least was developed from the middle outward. But it would seem that these neighborhoods to the north are much newer. I mean, you know, a few decades newer than the neighborhoods to the south. To the south, you know, we had Lions Park, and we had neighborhoods from the 60s and the 70s, and here we've got a neighborhood from the 90s. That said, the design of neighborhood parks didn't change much in those times. But what's interesting about this neighborhood is that, unlike a lot of the other neighborhoods we've seen that were from the 70s and 60s, this neighborhood has 2 neighborhood parks. One on this northwest corner of the neighborhood, and then later we'll see another one at the northeast corner of the neighborhood. So I think that's fascinating. I don't know if you think that's fascinating. This is a nice park. It's big, very big. I'm sure when the snow is gone, it'll have a nice big field. I just saw someone walk through here showing that maybe one of the chief uses of this park is as a shortcut. So I wonder if the nice worn path we see across this park diagonally in the snow will be there in the grass. But you know, it's got a nice picnic table that I'm sitting at here, and then there's a nice playground over there behind me. So it's a good neighborhood park. It's got all the basic things that people in this neighborhood need when they need a nice big green space to come out and play around. So here we go, Sommack Park. Hey, so here I am in my third park of the day. This is the Edith Gay Ballpark. So just like with Recreation Park, which we saw north of downtown, this park is dedicated to baseball diamonds. So there are 4 large baseball diamonds here. I think they are larger than the ones at Rutland Recreation Park, and they really dominate the whole area. Everything is kind of centered around that. There's a field house with some bathrooms behind me there. There's a little playground for kids to play at. There's a building to watch and call games from. There's a batting cage, all sorts of things, all organized around local baseball. So that's a great resource for this community. Not a lot going on here right now because it's the middle of the winter, but I'm sure it's a hopping place in the summertime. Just another note, it's funny, just after I mentioned that stuff about the neighborhood from the 90s, immediately to the north of that, I went through a block of Irene that was straight out of the 60s and 70s, and then I was back into the 90s buildings again. So clearly I have some things to learn about the development history of these neighborhoods, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm keeping my eyes open. So this is our northern extent of our walk today. We're doing a bit of a loop, so I'm going to head back down the other side of this neighborhood back towards the Rutland Recreation Park. I'll let you know when we find something else to see. Hey, well, here I am coming to our 4th park of the day. This is Wigglesworth Park. So this is another neighborhood park, and it's, I think, was designed along with Sommack Park. It's on the east side of the same neighborhood. It's a bilaterally symmetrical design to this neighborhood. Anyway, so it's got the same type of shape to it. On the north side, it fronts on Sommack Road, but on the south side, it has a connection with an interior road of the neighborhood with Wigglesworth. So it's a partner, but unlike Sommack Park, this one does not have a playground. I guess they figured, 2 neighborhood parks for the neighborhood is great, but they only need 1 playground. I don't know. Anyway, it's got a big lawn, and it's got a picnic table. It's got some places to sit, and it's got some trees, and it's generally a nice place. I'm sure it's used as a shortcut by people, and I'm sure it's a nice place to come and relax and hang out if you want some outside space any time of year. So I'm enjoying my time here, and soon I'll be heading back towards Rutland Recreation Park and the end of my walk. Hey, so here I am, back where I started at the end. I had a great walk today. We saw 4 parks, which is awesome. We saw all 4 parks in northwest Rutland. We saw everything from Rutland Recreation Park, which is huge and great, up through Sommack Park, a nice little neighborhood park, up to Edith Gay Ballpark, which was very well fitted out, and then down the east side through Wigglesworth Park, a sister of Sommack. So we saw a lot. It was great. I got a good sense of the neighborhood. It's a lot like southern Rutland, but newer, and there's more duplexes. They're a little closer together, a little more frequent. In South Rutland, it was just almost all large-scale single-house residential lots, but there's a little more with the other types of zoning up in this northern half, and I think it's because it's newer. Once we got to Edith Gay Park, the other side of the street was agricultural zoning, and all down the east side was more agricultural areas. So that gives you a sense of how this used to really be an agricultural place, but it has been turned into a suburban neighborhood over the past few decades. Everywhere I went, I had great views of Black Mountain, which you can see behind me. All over the place. It's a beautiful sight, and this neighborhood is almost worth coming to just for those views. Someday I'm going to get up on there and have a look around. It has some great grasslands, which have some rare ecosystems, which I'd love to explore. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I got a new video every week. Every Friday I put one out and go for a walk and see some of the parks of Kelowna. So if you're from Kelowna and you want to learn more about the local parks, what there is to see out there, or if you're just from anywhere and you want to get inspired to go out and see parks in your area, please, I encourage that. I think it's a really rewarding thing to do. So I'm glad you came along for this one, and I hope to see you next time. This is Jeff. See you next Friday.